Hello, this is Terry Murphy, and welcome to this Young Artists Family workshop called Optical Illusions. Now you may have received a kit like this, and inside we have the title card for Optical Illusions, and also a white backing board that you can use for your artwork that's mounted on black paper. And we also have 3 different sized discs. These are used for tracing, or if you would like different sizes, you can use anything that's round and trace around it. And finally, a 2-sided Sharpie permanent marker. So I'm excited to present this workshop to you, and let's get started. Oh, and one thing before we get started, I am trying to collect artwork for March's Young Artists Month at the Prospect Heights Library. So we're focusing on this project as well as artwork that you may have sent me previously in other workshops. So at the end of this workshop, I will give you the contact information to send it to me, okay? So hopefully you will send it. We love to show you off, and we love to show off the Young Artists Family Workshop at the Prospect Heights Library. So here we have our supplies, and what you can do is take these pre-cut circles and arrange them on your picture. I wouldn't do it right in the middle, but maybe off to the side, and figure out how you want to do it. In addition to these circles, you can also use household items to make circles. So let's begin by tracing them. And then we're going to decide that this circle in space is going to be behind this bigger circle. So we will place it and then only trace it where the circle isn't, where the previous circle isn't. So it might look something like that. That gives the illusion. And then I have a little household item that I will put another circle on, and once again it'll be behind the circle that I just drew. And so it's going to be something like that. Now we are going to place a checkerboard pattern into them. So on each circle we are going to do a line to dissect it in half, and then from a horizontal point of view, another line to dissect it in half. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now we are going to add a line on either side of those lines, and they're going to be curved lines going in the direction of the circle. So it's easiest to put like a little dot and a little dot, and then just start curving that line in the direction of this side of the circle. And then on this side too, a dot and a dot. And then we curve it on that side. It's starting to give the illusion that this is not only a circle, but a sphere. And we're going to do that there. And same thing here. We are going to do it. Okay, and then we're going to do the same exercise on each of these circles, and I'll just shut off the camera so we don't have to make this too long and come back and show you what it's like. All right, so I have all three of our circles lined out so they look more like spheres or balls, one behind another. Now the next thing you're going to do is draw another circle around these balls. Now you can make it so you have a complete circle, but I am going to draw a circle so it looks like it's going behind this sphere right here. And as you see, I am just doing it freehand as well as I can, okay? And from that point, we are just going to make more concentric circles going inside. Not too many, because we are going to end up coloring these in and inking these in. And I think I'm just going to put maybe 2 more after this. Some of them you'll barely see because they are behind these spheres. So, you know, they'll disappear in and out. And then I think this circle will just be right there. You can probably put like a little another little tiny circle there. Okay. Then from this point, we are going to make circles going this way. Now, one thing I want to tell you is that the space in between these lines work better if they're not all the same. So from this point on, I'm just going to leave a little space here. And there's a reason why we're doing that, which will become evident once we start making a checkerboard pattern and using color pencils for shading. But there we go with that one. I'm going to make another one that is rather close, and this is going to give the illusion of going in, out, as far as an optical illusion goes. Okay, now I think I'm just going to widen these circles a little bit. And to make this successful, you don't want to be putting too many of these circles in, okay? So this one, it's going to get much wider. And then it's okay if you go off the paper instead of trying to squeeze circles in. And this one's going to be much wider. And much wider still. Okay, so that's it for the circles and the circles around. And now we are going to, what we did here with this sort of tic-tac-toe, we're going to use over here too. For this optical illusion, I want it to make it seem like it's going from a very deep area here, coming up, going down, coming back up, and going down. And even though this is a flat paper, we're going to cause that illusion. So I'm going to start here where we have our deepest circle and go to these little lines that are close together and sort of do a little curvy line and then another curvy line. And then we're going to maybe put a little dot here and do the same thing. We're going to go like that till we get to this circle right here, and then sort of do that. Same thing here. And we're going to go around the whole paper doing this. And we're making these curved lines also. So it looks like it's going to be three-dimensional. And as you're going to this corner, these curve this way. As you're going to this corner, the lines will curve this way. Here's our circle. It's curving that way. This one's going up and down behind those center circles. Up and down. Just breaking in here to say, when you're drawing your lines that radiate out from the center, make sure that you use an odd number of lines. It's going to cause a problem if there's an even number as you start making that checkerboard, and once they come together, if you make even lines. So count your lines and make sure there's like 13 or 15 or 17, and then the project will go smoothly. Let's get back to it. Up. So this is, once again, the circle you have to pay attention to, where you're making two separate curved lines. So this is one there, one there, one there. Shall we put another one in there? Yeah, I think we'll put another one in here. Oops. Now see, I made this wrong. I should have gone up to this line for the curvy. And you know, this is why we do it in pencil, because you can still erase. What we're going to do after this is do it in marker. So we're supposed to go to here before we did our curve. And we're supposed to go to here before this curve. So glad I caught that. And then one last one up to here and the curve. Okay, now everything that you have here, we have to ink in. So whatever lines are in pencil, you're going to now ink them in. We have a fine tip point, which will be good to do your line work, and then we have a thicker point which we're going to use to color in some of those squares. So I will be back once this entire thing is inked, and we're going to start filling them in with black ink. I'll be right back. I inked this entire design, and I also made checkerboard squares out of those two spheres. I'll show you an easy way to do it, and we're going to use this technique for the entire picture. So let's take this sphere here, and the first thing you do is follow along one track and one line of squares or shapes. So we're looking at this line right here, and you just pick one, and we're going to color that black, so we're going to put a dot in it. This is white, this one will be black, and this one stays white. So now that you have your pattern dotted out, you're just going to take your marker and color it in. And I would do it just very carefully. Stay within the lines, because this is a very precise type of drawing. And, you know, don't scribble. Have an entire black shape in there, even if it takes a little bit longer. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is go one line down, and that will be our next pattern. We will also dot it out. So, dot, dot, and this one's going to be black, as well as this one. You're doing the opposite of what you just did. One caution, I will tell you, sometimes in some of these workshops, people like to just dot the whole thing first and then start coloring in, and I would advise not to do that, because if you're one off anywhere, you just put a dot in the wrong place and already inked it in, it affects the entire drawing. So take your time, do one line at a time with your pencil and dots, and then ink it in, and then go to the next line. So I'll come back and show you how that looks. Okay, now all the spheres are done, and we are going to do the exact same thing that we did for this checkerboard pattern for the rest of the pictures. And so just take a track. These are now your tracks, and we're going to dot it out too. So let's just start by calling this black. This will be white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black. And I'll color it in and show you how it looks. And we go to the next track down, and we're going to do the opposite. So this one's white, this one will be black. If you go down, that'll be white. This little one is going to be black. And then going the opposite way, white, black, white, black, white, black. And so I am going to take this now and do the entire page in checkerboard and come back and we'll see what's next. All right, here's the artwork fully inked out. And I'd like to mention also that it would be a good idea to erase all the pencil marks from your original drawing. I would suggest that you do not use a pencil eraser at the tip of a pencil, because usually they get old and then they just don't work as well anymore. But more of a like pink kneaded eraser, pink rubber eraser if you have it. And so what we're going to do, this already looks like it's three-dimensional and giving you that optical illusion. But we're going to help it even more with colored pencils. So the plan is to color these three spheres in three different colors. So I picked out sort of an orange yellow, a green, and a pink. And then for the rest of the picture, I am going to shade it in blue. And this is all about how we are going to translate this form into lights and darks in regard to color. So let's go with this biggest ball first, and we're just going to decide that there is a lightest area which is closest to you, and then as it recedes in illusion it's going to get darker. So I'm going to leave this area white, and then as we go away from this area it's going to just get shaded in this color, but I'm going to press harder and harder as I go out to the corners of the ball. So let's just start with this square here, and I'm just going to very lightly shade it in the corners. I don't even know if that's showing up, but as we go out, I'm just going to shade it in the part that's heading towards the side of the ball. So very lightly shade it, and then just start pressing harder and harder as we go closer to that square. Same thing with this one. Start with white, and then lightly shade it, and just make it really dark as you get to the edge. Now, I would say I've seen a lot of nice artwork ruined by people scribbling, just going too fast in this part. You see how slowly I'm shading? I'm putting the lightest touch. I'm just touching the colored pencil to the paper and just moving it along and just pressing harder as I go along till you're at the end and you're just giving it some good pressure. And you can see it's starting to look more like a shape. And feel free to turn this around, and remember we're always going to the side of the sphere in our shading. So start out with no shading, and then more pressure and more pressure. Okay, so I'm going to go and do the rest of this ball and also the other two balls in the colors that I chose, and we'll be back to see what that looks like. Okay, so these are all colored in, and the next thing we're going to do is follow a path like we did with the spheres, and we're going to shade those. Now, what you have to remember is visually already some of this looks like it is going up or down just by these lines that we drew. So what I want you to do is take your, just sort of eyeball it and say, well, this looks like it might be closest to me. Either that one or this one, but I'm going to say this one looks like it's closest to me, and it's going down until it comes to this level, and that looks like it's another level before it starts going down again. And that's important to say because that's how we're going to shade it. So if this is the level closest to you, as you go down, you are going to leave this white and start shading about midpoint, and then as you get closer, you are going to go darker. So, and like I say, you just have a light touch with this. Do not scribble. And then for your next one, same thing. You just take a light touch and then darker, 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 darker. It goes from light to dark, light to dark, light to dark on this one too. And then on this one, which looks like it is sort of different, it's sort of like a platform, we are going to, on the white one, do it on both sides. Here and over here, we are going to go down. I know I skipped one over, but this was just to show you. And here, we're just going to go from white to dark. Same thing here, from white to dark. So this level right here is the only one that gets this double treatment. All the rest of them, for instance, this one would just go from white to light to dark. This one gets the double treatment. Now, the rest of this is going to do the opposite of what this closest level is doing. So instead of going from light to dark, this level here is going to go from light to dark this way. Feel free to turn it around. So it's going to be white, 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 start shading, and then start pressing further until you get a really dark color, whatever your color may be. And we'll do this entire line from white to dark. And then this same treatment, it goes from white to light color and then pressing harder. So I hope that was clear enough for you. If not, feel free to rewind the coloring portion of this video, because that's what's going to give you the depth. So we will come back and show you the entire picture all colored. Well, how did you enjoy that workshop? I always think it's amazing how you could take a flat piece of paper and make it three-dimensional just by lines and shading. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you join us for more workshops in the future. This is Terry Murphy signing off for Young Artists Family Workshops. Okay, and now for people who would like to submit for Youth Art Month, we're accepting both children and adult artwork. So if you're in school, just send us your name and your grade. And if you're an adult, just your name and just put adult. If you're taking a picture of the phone, I know sometimes when you take a picture like this, there might be a shadow in it. So in order to avoid that, just put it on a ledge or a bookcase and take the photo like this. Make sure it's square, and the address will follow on where you can send it. I hope to see a lot of your artwork, and I hope that we can share it with everyone at the Prospect Heights Library. It will be a virtual type of program. So thanks for participating, and hope to see you in the future. Bye.